Well, good afternoon, Bob. This is Navigating Cancer in the Community, and I'm the host, Chanel Disman. And today I have with me a longtime dear friend, Bob Brown. We have shared time, space, and energy in the community, and he has been a longtime advocate. I would have to say that you have been a mentor, a friend, a peer, um, and someone that I could truly look to as I was navigating the community, becoming more and more aware of how systems worked.
Hmm.
And you took the time and created what I would call an incubator space, and allowed me to really grow in that. And one of the things that I loved about being able to work with you so closely, sitting on a number of boards and committees, is that I knew you were always reading something, and I could always say, "What are you reading?" I just want to know where those ideas come from. How do you think so? You know, we use that phrase outside of the box, but you managed to think in a way that there was no box. And I don't like to call it abstract, but it definitely was a new form of thought, and it's always been very encouraging. So,
Well,
um,
thanks.
I thank you. Um, and as we've had opportunity to share time and space over a number of years. I would say now better than a decade. Um,
Hmm.
our our life's journey has overlapped in another way, and in that we both, not at the same time, but we both have have gone through a diagnosis of cancer, and
Hmm.
have traveled a journey through that of surgeries and treatments and continued healing, um, while managing some of the symptoms that have been kind of residual, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, so, Bob, as as we think about, and first let me say thank you again for coming on
Hmm.
to share your journey, share your story. Tell us what that has looked like for you, from being, I would say, I mean, you were constantly on the go,
Hmm.
always somewhere in the community, to something's not quite right. Something's bothering me. Tell us about that day and when you went to the doctor and moving forward.
Yeah, well, um, I hope my details aren't too intense here, but uh, so one morning I woke up and I spit up a little blood. That was well, that's kind of unusual, but I didn't think a whole lot of it because it was just a little minor amount, and I had done that different times, brushing my teeth or whatever. You spit up a little bit of blood. Um, but then the next morning I got up and I spit up copious amounts of blood,
Mm,
and it was okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. Um, and I thought maybe I had a stomach ulcer. So we went to the hospital and through the emergency room and stuff. And um, I remember being they were going to do a scope to down my stomach, so they were putting me under. And I remember the one doctor saying, "Have you had a bloody nose in the last couple of days?" And I thought, "Oh, sure enough, yeah, I have." And they said, "Oh, we won't find anything." And I remember thinking just before I kind of fell asleep, well, why are we doing this then if you're not going to find anything? So woke up, and sure enough, they had didn't find a thing. Uh, um, but later that day, I had a uh, nose, throat, and ear specialist come in and do a scope on me. So the scope that they do is they kind of numb up your nasal passages. Uh, it doesn't work all the way. And then they stick a tube up your nose with a camera on it and
Mm,
down your throat so they can see. And that's when she found the spot on my tongue, on
mm,
the base of my tongue, and uh, noticed that there's a corresponding swelling in a lymph node here. Um, so scheduled a couple biopsies. One was in her office, one was at the regional medical imaging place here in Flint. And the results came back. Sure enough, I had cancer. Um, I remember thinking, um, I'm going to do whatever it takes because my family needs me.
mhm,
And you know, I think at that point, I can't quite remember. Desmond might have been his senior in high school, or it might have been even his first year in college. I can't quite remember. Um, but I went to got referred locally, and I chose to stay local because I didn't want to travel a long ways. So they had uh, uh, a chemo oncologist and a radiation oncologist, and yeah, they're both very good doctors. And the facility was very good. It was the um, Hurley Genesis Cancer Center. It's on the campus of Mott Community College. It's on the back end of the campus. So I went through 7 weeks of radiation therapy, 5 days a week, and 1 day a week. So that was 7 or 8 sessions of chemotherapy. So the chemotherapy, they inserted a port here, and that would take about 3 hours for that to occur. And the radiation treatment was much simpler. It only took about 5 minutes. Um, but they made a mask. I should have got it. It's somewhere here. A mask of my face
mm,
that I could breathe through and I could actually see through. That little, it's a weave.
mhm.
Uh, but they would bolt my head down to the table so I
Oh,
couldn't move. And then, the radiation would pass overhead.
okay.
And so I did that. And I remember the week before I started, Johanna, my wife, came down with COVID. And it's like, oh no, I don't want to have to postpone this. But it all worked out.
Okay.
I didn't get COVID. I was trying to go. Uh, and um, went through the therapy. About halfway through, um, swallowing became difficult. Um, you don't realize how many times a day you swallow until it hurts every time you swallow. So
Okay.
this is even just swallowing, not with food, just swallow. And so then it got real intense. But fortunately, that after about 4 months after therapy ended, um, um, it diminished and left me. The side effect that has been most devastating, and I'm 2 years into remission here, is that the radiation just killed my taste buds,
Mm,
and I don't taste much of anything anymore. A little bit, uh, but there's a lot of foods that I try to eat that taste um, not pleasant. Um, and for the first 6 or 7 months after all the radiation and chemo stopped, no food tasted good. It
mm,
all tasted like, I don't know, slime, stuff that you would not want to eat.
mm,
And These days it's getting better, but I never know from one day to the next what is going to be okay or not okay. I still don't eat very much, a typical day, and I just don't get hungry. But I do. Um, well, yesterday's a good example. I did 4 or 5 boosts, so the protein drinks. I
Hmm.
had a fruit cup, and I had um, a little bit of roast because I made a Johanna roast. I just had a little bit of roast, but that was all I ate all day long, and that's a typical day for me. But what that does is I have long-term fatigue and exhaustion that I could sleep forever, and I get up feeling fatigued
Hmm.
and not rested. So it's that fatigue that makes that changes the progression of a day
Hmm.
because yeah, I'm 74, but I still work full time. But I don't work traditional hours. I work hours that work for me. So
Hmm.
some days that the morning works, some days the afternoon, some days the late afternoons, early evenings work. It all depends on how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's definitely a different reality. Um, one of the things that I've noticed, and this is okay because this is, a new chapter in life. Um, Working community takes a lot of time and takes a lot of evening meetings, and I just can't do evening meetings anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I get to the point towards the end of the day where, uh, yeah, I'm functioning, but I'm not functioning in the sense that I want to go out to a meeting and participate. Even if it's on Zoom, it's hard for me to do something that late at night.
Yeah.
Uh, and mainly sometimes, I'm taking some pain meds or something because this is neuropathy. So neuropathy was another side effect that happened, and my neuropathy in my left hand got so bad
Hmm.
um,
Wow.
that I mean I would sit up in bed at night and almost cry. It hurt so much.
Oh.
Uh, so on a lot of different pain meds, gabapentin primarily,
Hmm.
in stronger and stronger doses, so I could navigate the pain. Um, it's better now, but when it was at its height, I could not button my shirt.
Yeah.
I could not tie my shoes. I just couldn't feel this hand enough to make it work.
Hmm.
So now I'm still a little numb here, and I still get some shooting pains, but um, it's manageable for me. That I can tie my own shoes now. And if I wore a tie, I could tie it. Not that I want to wear a tie, but I don't know. I'm going on and on and on, but that's been some of the main things. Uh, like I said, 2 years in December, and one more year to go. If I make it through that year, then I'm cancer free, which is
Yes.
where I'm trying to go. Um, a colleague who had COVID really early when COVID came, said she also lost her taste, and some of it has come back. But she tries to imagine how good something is going to taste. And so I try that, and that works a little bit for me. But my problem with that is the first couple bites are okay, but by the time I get done chewing it,
Oh.
it's no longer okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's no longer good. But so what that does is so much of our social interaction is done over food.
That's true.
And when you don't do food as much, uh, so if I go out with somebody to eat, they're eating their meal, I'm sipping on some soup maybe. And sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's like, woo, that's really bad. But I never know, until I take a sip. It'd be so much easier if I could, if something tasted okay. The only thing that really tasted okay is Boost,
Mm.
and it's the chocolate Boost. It's not the vanilla or the pumpkin spice or whatever else might be there. Um, But yeah, it's a new reality. That's for sure.
Wow. And the fact that you're laughing now, and as you're talking about it and sharing your journey, that's a testament in and of itself because when we think of like the healing process, that journey, what it looks like, it's a total healing that has to take place, and it doesn't all happen at the same time. Like your
Doesn't.
body may be healing, but mentally you may still be struggling, you know?
Yeah, there's a depression that goes along with cancer recovery.
Hmm.
And the more difficult the cancer recovery is, I would think, at least in my case, the more the depression hits. I mean, uh, I at times get so tired of not feeling well.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't understand that until you actually have something catastrophic like this hit you.
Hmm.
Oh, I get the flu. I feel horrible for 2 weeks. Yeah, but you don't feel horrible for 2 years.
Right.
And that you wake up every day and nausea is also an issue every day.
Yeah.
And nausea is because I don't eat enough, but the food doesn't taste okay to eat. Yeah, so
Right.
there's this vicious cycle that goes, you
Hmm.
know, and it plays with your spirit all the time. You know, it really tests you of how strong can you be? And sometimes I just want to complain, of oh, I can't stand this. But then I always think about, well, what's the alternative? Well, I could be in the hole in the ground somewhere with the worms eating me. So this is better than that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to back up just a little bit because as you were taking us through the discovery process, and being told that you had cancer, what type of cancer was that they discovered?
Is carcinogenic schimona or something like that? Uh, it was a very common form of cancer. It's, location of your cancer really affects, I believe, how you recover.
Hmm.
So, of all the spots, the back of my tongue
Mm,
uh, was had much more ramifications than if it had been somewhere else.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And which is really something. And when you talked about even we don't realize how many times we are actually swallowing throughout the
Mhm.
day, even without eating, it's a part of our breathing process.
It is.
Which is something that I realize experiencing a lot of nausea, um, through my chemo treatments. And it was like, oh my gosh, if I could just not be swallowing, maybe that would help.
Yep.
And so that nausea piece, it's almost when people talk about pain management, it's like, have you ever thought about nausea management? Because you're hungry, but you're nauseated. You,
Yep.
you want to eat, but you're scared to eat. And um, it's a whole process.
Yeah, and my take on that is, I need to eat. I'm not hungry. Food is going to taste bad, but it will help my nausea.
Yeah.
I mean not being hungry is so I'm never looking forward to a meal.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, maybe I should try to eat something now.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but
So,
I can. So I make dinner for Johanna, and then I try a little bit of it, maybe. Yeah.
so let's, as you have gone, as you are continuing to travel this journey and life has evolved, right?
Hmm.
As you said, because of the chronic fatigue, of course, your lifestyle has changed. So you're not
Hmm.
out in the community, you're not running, hustling, bustling from meeting to meeting as you used to. Surely this journey, though it is yours individually has impacted, those in close proximity to you. So, what or how have you seen this impact your family? As you said, Desmond, he was either a senior or freshman in college. How have you seen things transition in regards to your family?
Yeah, not as much as you would think.
Okay.
Uh, they're like, okay, and um, they were supportive.
Hmm.
Um, but they're both neurotypical. They both ADHD and a variety of other things, which makes responding to different things different.
Hmm.
Uh, so in their way, they have expressed a support. Um, the thing that I found outside the family is most people I were close to went away
Hmm.
and kind of left me behind. And you're one of the few people who did not do that. Uh, um, and part of it is, well, maybe I don't participate as much, but that was an adjustment too of of people who I had helped out over time. Um, the other person who has been solid, even though we barely speak to each other, is Hubert Roberts. And
Hmm.
but he's also a cancer survivor person,
Hmm. Hmm.
so the people who have stayed closest are those, I think, who have experienced some sort of catastrophic illness. And sometimes I wonder that maybe it was easier for me because I had already experienced catastrophic illness in my earliest days on the planet. So, like, I was 13 months old when I got polio. And, polio has affected me my whole life, including post-polio. Um, so I was used to the catastrophic nature of health conditions.
Hmm.
Um, and really, didn't think about it because it's just, well, this is how I am. Uh, so, although I think cancer was a scary diagnosis, it wasn't as scary as it could have been.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I'm looking back from 2 years and trying to remember, and part of that memory is a little foggy.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can attest to what you're saying, when you think of a cancer diagnosis as being scary and looking back and, you know, really trying to assess, what you felt in that moment.
yeah,
And for me, I think I was just kind of frozen. There wasn't fear or anything. It was, what? Huh? You know, it was a very surreal moment. Um, and it does. It's, to think about, you know, a cancer diagnosis, right?
yeah.
And
By the time I heard the diagnosis, I was expecting it.
okay.
So I wasn't surprised by it. I would have been surprised if it would have been benign and gone the other way. Even though that's how I was hoping that. When she said, "Yeah, it's cancer," it wasn't a shock. It was like, "Yeah, okay, that's what I figured it was."
You're
I was
so
already
strong.
resigned.
You're so strong, Bob. You're so
Oh,
strong
I
for
put
it.
up a brave facade, but I'm the cowardly lion underneath it all. They take blood, and I still have to look away. I can't. No, I can't watch you put a needle in my arm. Come on. And as you know, with cancer, you get poked like 4,000 times a year.
Yes.
So,
Yes, you
yeah,
do. Yes,
yeah,
you do. Yes, you do. You said something, and support looks very different depending on your significant or your unique situation, right? Support looks different based on your village, your family, and all of those. And it looks very different, for you as an individual, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just add to that so that there's an understanding. So my immediate family is just Johanna, my son Desmond. Both of my parents are dead. Both of her parents are dead. Both of my sisters have passed. So our family is just the three of us.
Mm.
So that's the nuclear. And I just wanted to make sure that support system, you weren't thinking, well, what about your family? What did they do? Well, that is my family. It's just the three of us. And my
And
dog was helpful.
well, we love our companions.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that. And I think that's the other thing that, when you think of individuals that may be, traveling that cancer journey, and what that looks like, sometimes a person is doing it all by themselves,
Yeah.
because they don't have a nuclear family. Everyone is gone. Maybe they were an only child, maybe, whatever life circumstances, or maybe they have a huge family, but they are still alone.
Yeah.
It's everyone's journey, I believe, is so very unique because we're
Yeah.
processing it individually.
Yeah. But so one of the things that I do think about though, for both you and me
Mhm.
and people in our community who have cancer is how much did the water with lead poisoning contribute
Mm.
to those cancers? Because we have a higher cancer rate than the state and the country in our community. And it's like the cuts in Medicaid right now. You don't see the results and the effects tomorrow, but 2 years from now,
Mhm.
I don't have food stamps. I'm eating poorly. I don't have a medical home, and then my medical condition worsens, and in 3 years I die. And when I pass on, it's well because of this and this, but it's not because of what happened 3 years ago.
Mhm.
That's what I kind of think with the lead poisoning that happened in Flint that contributed to the prevalence of more cancers. Now, who knows if it really did it for either you and I, but it certainly is suspicious
That's a
in
good
my mind.
word. Suspicious.
Yeah,
Suspicious. I and
yeah,
I I am aware of the work that's going on, to really dig deep into that, into, the environmental impacts.
yeah, because our water, I remember vividly this phone call on a Sunday morning at 8 o'clock at being the Environmental Protection Agency. And they said, because they had come to test our water because they were testing a lot of water everywhere. And they said, if you remember, 200 parts per billion was bad news. Anything over that was bad news. Our house tested out at 200 parts per billion. So we were hit really hard by the lead poisoning. And yeah, so I can't help but wonder, how has that affected our overall health, mine and my family's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It definitely is something to consider. And you use that word you use, suspicious.
yeah,
It's something definitely to be considered when you look at, the prevalence of cancer diagnosis in this particular area and
yeah,
the types of cancers that are, being diagnosed. I am grateful, truly grateful for the work, the energy that's being focused on, looking at possibility of connection, you
yeah,
know, um, and what that looks like, pre-COVID and after, you know, and just with all of the things that have taken place in this particular community, there's been a lot.
yeah,
So I am grateful for the work that is going on, especially as we look to the future to protect our children going forward, and to look at, putting in place things that will be of assistance to even, younger people. Now there's so many youth that have been diagnosed with cancer, putting in place resources to support them as
Yeah.
they grow up and
Yep.
and they have children and families. So I'm definitely grateful for the work that's going on with that, and even being able to have conversations like this. Um, it's so vitally important that we stay connected, right? That,
Yep.
no one feels completely alone and isolated because, well, we see that, statistics show, that, when you have depression that, can set in after isolation and, going through, a diagnosis, any type of chronic illness, and you're dealing with maybe residual symptoms, pain management, and and so many other things, that it can slow that healing process, and even
Yep.
sometimes bring it to a halt and bring about a premature death. So and just helping people through that, letting them know that you're not alone. There's someone else, out here that, you can talk to and share your story, you can connect to. But I like to consider that having conversations like this, open, transparent conversations, helps individuals in diminishing and tearing down that stronghold of fear that causes you one to think that, you hear cancer or the big C and it's a death sentence. Oh no, life is over as I know it. It doesn't have to be over. It may change. It may evolve into something better than what it was. Maybe slowing down and forcing you to smell the roses that you take the time to hurriedly plant,
Yep.
between meetings.
Mhm.
I've done that, run home and watered the plants because it was, so hot outside, all to run off to another meeting. But that's not my story anymore. Now I literally can sit outside and enjoy the flowers,
Yep.
you know? So even being able to share that with an individual that, sometimes it's not a death sentence, but it's an opportunity to go to a new chapter,
Yep.
explore something new, connect with different people.
Yeah, and when I look at the survival rate, so I had stage 2 cancer,
Mhm.
and in the location, so it's like um 70-75% of the people are still alive after 5 years.
Oh
And
boy.
I thought, whoa, that's a nice survival rate. That's probably a better rate than I have just walking down the street.
Hmm, hmm,
you,
hmm.
you know, so, I feel pretty confident about the future. Uh, but, you never know. So, I probably come to appreciate day by day more. Um, even though, um, this diminished capacity also creates sometimes of boredom.
Mm.
It's like, oh man. And the other thing that really is weird for me is that, and I have glasses to read, but looking at the screen for a long time and reading zone me out.
Oh.
So I feel even more spaced out. So if I get up and I don't drink hot coffee, but a cold coffee in these kind of cans,
Uh-huh.
um, I might look at what's going on in the world, Facebook, other things, but at about a half hour in, it's like, whoa, I gotta stop and just look at something else because I'm even foggier now than when I started. When
Hmm.
I'm reading, I don't recognize it or feel it, but the minute I stop, it's like, wow, I'm even foggier when I started. So that's another little interesting wrinkle in all this.
And and even thank you for sharing that. It's those adjustments, those small, but
Yeah.
they're major because sitting in front of a computer screen at one point was a large part of your life.
Yes, it was.
And, not being able to do that because of, those things that you just mentioned, there are those what seem like minor adjustments are really huge.
Yep.
And um and they really do. They change the way that we engage the world.
Yes. So what I do is just go, okay, I'm going to be really foggy, but I'm going to be on here because I'm doing work, I'm exploring things, I'm doing whatever. I'm not going to stop that. I just know by the time I'm done, I'm going to be a little goofy for a few minutes while I readjust,
Yeah.
and I have to look at something a little further away.
Hmm.
Yeah, I go, oh, okay, that's better. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Bob, you are such an amazing individual.
Oh,
Such
well, thanks. I don't think so, but I think I'm pretty ordinary and mundane, and I probably talk too much and all sorts of things, but thanks.
You know, I have to say, just to see the smile on your face, the light that is shining through, it is so wonderful because I can call you a survivor. I I choose to call you a thriver. It is
Hmm.
your own brand of thriving, but you
Hmm.
are living, and that's what's most important. Is you said my family needs me, and you determined to live.
Yep.
And that is my hope for every individual that has ever received a cancer diagnosis. That is my hope for their support systems, that they will stand and hold their hand and determine with them, you will live, and I will help you to do that.
Yeah, and I would tell every person going through cancer, um, what's the wisdom that you hold
Mm,
pre-cancer, during cancer, post-cancer? What's that wisdom? And the world needs you to share that with us. What is your wisdom? So
that,
there's wisdom that comes out of cancer recovery
that
that needs to be shared.
that's good. What a wonderful way to finish up. That's good. Wow. That's good. Yeah. What's the wisdom?
Yeah.
Mm. We'll have to talk more about that.
Yes, we will.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us today and
Oh, you're
sharing
very
your
welcome.
story. I so appreciate you. This is Navigating Cancer in the Community, and I'm Chanel Disman. Thank you again, Bob, for sharing your story. And I look forward to us hanging out at the library.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Yep, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.